Hi everybody, Carissa here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Inky Fairy Designs. Today I am going to be creating this card for you guys, featuring some great products from Maker Forte, and I just love that little shaker detail and the little bobbly thing. Anyway, so this stamp set that I'm going to be using is called Bubbling with Excitement. This is part of a new release or a newer release from Maker Forte. I absolutely love the little gnomes and sentiments that are in this set. Um, and then I also paired it with this stencil, which is called Gnomes and Hedgehogs. And I just thought that would be such a cute detail to add to the background. I am doing some Distress Oxide blending with these blending tools. The colors I'm using are Kitsch Flamingo and Milled Lavender. I'm also doing some heat embossing with the clear embossing ink by Maker Forte and some Wow embossing powder, the white opaque superfine. So I use my tool and all of that good stuff. Also doing some Copic marker coloring, as well as adding a bit of detail with the Inference Neptune mica powder that I combined with water in this mister bottle, and some glitter details. So let's go ahead and get started on making this card today. So I'm going to start on some white cardstock, and I'm going to emboss this cute little bubble background that is included in the stamp set. I think it could be used in two ways. So first, of course, with the Bubbling with Excitement, it's like little champagne bubbles that would be floating up to the top. So that's how I use it in this particular card. But I also think that it would be a great falling snow background. So I would definitely use this technique again and to create like a snowy background just by flipping my cardstock and having those bubbles fall towards the bottom instead of towards the top. So I stamped it twice with the clear embossing powder ink pad that is by Maker Forte. I stamped it twice using my Misty. Now I'm going to sprinkle on the opaque, bright white, super fine embossing powder by Wow onto my cardstock. And I'm going to shake that off, and then I'm going to pull off this little, there was like a little hair or kind of fiber in there, and so I pulled that off with my tweezers, and now I'm going to heat emboss that. I'm going to put all that excess back in the bottle because we don't want to waste anything. I'm going to let my heat tool get nice and hot. I am using the Wow embossing heat tool, and so I start from the back and kind of go all around, get that nice and hot, and then I will slowly move my heat tool across the cardstock and make sure to get all of that powder nice and melted. So since I am basically embossing white on white, you can't really see it here, but once I get going with the ink blending, you'll see that it starts to resist the ink, and that's when you'll see the pattern. So I don't have a ink blending tool for each color of oxide ink that I own, so I kind of just go with Color Family, and I will wipe off the excess of my previous use of that tool, and then get going on the new color that I'm using. So I have like purples and pinks and reds, and so I just use a specific color family when I am going in, and it works fine. I mean, eventually goals I have are to have an ink blending foam for each color that I own, but for now this works for me. So if you do not have an ink blending tool for every single color you own, this is definitely all that you need. So I started from the top and I'm going towards the bottom, and so you can kind of see the very top there is no embossing, and then as I come in from the bottom with the pink, you'll see that it starts to appear and you'll see that pattern. So I'm just going back and forth, trying to get a nice smooth blend. And I am working on I stamped on the white cardstock from Maker Forte, and it's the blending cardstock that they offer. So it really does get a really nice smooth blend. All right, so that's my first layer. Now I'm going to go back in. It is not as kind of intense as I want, and I am using some softer colors. I really love this pink and purple together. It's just a very soft color combination, and just blending two together is all I really kind of wanted to do on this card. And so now I'm going to go back with the milled lavender and bring that in from the top again, and I will start to get a much smoother blend. So, you know, if you've seen any of my recent videos, I do a lot of ink blending, and it's just one of those techniques that I really enjoy right now. And I love how it looks with white embossing in the background, because the embossing powder resists the ink that you're putting on top. It's a great way to kind of add texture and dimension at the same time. So now I'm pretty happy with my blending, and I can move on to the next step. So I went through my stencils and I found this cute gnome stencil, and since I was going to use one of the gnomes from the stamp set, I thought, why not? It'll be a cute little background, and it'll add a little bit more interest. And I'm just going to place the stencil right over my cardstock and blend with the same colors. So when you blend on top of the colors that you already have, you're going to get kind of like a tone on tone look. Where the stencil is placed, it will get slightly darker, but you'll still have that lighter color showing behind as well. So I'm going to start from the top, and I'm going to pull in that milled lavender, and you can see right away it really deepens and intensifies through the stencil where I am blending, and yet it still resists the embossing. So yeah, I'm going to come in with the pink, and then I placed the tape there so that I could create a little hinge and lift it up when I am done and kind of see if I'm happy with it. If not, I could always do it again, but I was satisfied with that amount of blending. Okay, so now I'm going to stamp my little gnome, and I'm going to be using the Eclipse Black Remarkable Ink Pad by Maker Forte. It is designed to be used with alcohol markers, which is what I decided to use today for my coloring. And it stamped beautifully the first time, and I didn't even prep my stamps like I normally do. So I'm going to do some very simple marker coloring today. I'm using two colors. This is a smaller stamped image, so I don't feel like I needed to go overboard on the blending. I just very simply picked out two colors that I liked. I'm going to do like a pink and green combination for my little gnome. I am kind of thinking this is a holiday card, even though it's not super specifically Christmas. I think that it could be sent out during the holidays, and it would be really cute. So I love pink, this like bright pink and bright green combination for a fun Christmas color without being traditionally red and green. So the colors that I used for the pink are RV01 and RV06. And then for the greens, I'm using YG23 and YG25. And just very simple blending those two colors together. For the rest of the gnome, I think I'm going in with the beard next. So for that, I do W3, W5, and W7. So that is the only one, well, the grays, I'm doing 3 blends. And then for the little nose, I do a little 3 blend, but it's very, very little of it. And for the beard, I'm just kind of flicking my markers towards the middle and giving it a little bit of texture so you can kind of see the beard texture, or kind of creating that beard texture using the different colors and flicking those towards the middle, leaving the middle white, and then I'll go in with the lightest and blend it all together. But that is very simple, and I only go through once with the colors. I don't go back through again because I felt that it was enough. For the nose, which is basically the only skin tone that I'm using, I do E00 and E11, and then I do just a little touch of R20 at the tip to kind of give it a rosy look to it. And then for the little fluffy parts of the hat, I'm going in with C0, C2, and C4, just to kind of give that a little bit of color. Basically, I want it to be white, but I want to create some dimension. So I go in just very lightly with these gray tones and create that little bit of shading and stuff so that it's still white, but we still have that dimension and it's not flat. So I haven't colored with my Copics in a long time. I don't reach for them as much as I used to when I first started stamping, because I've fallen in love with watercolors, and so I tend to watercolor my stamps more than I use markers anymore. But I just had a feeling of coloring with my markers again, and that's why I kept it really simple too. I actually fell away from using my markers so much because I got super intimidated by coloring, because some people can color so incredibly well and they do all of the folds and texture and, you know, like 6 color combinations, and I don't know, it just overwhelmed me for a while, and that's when I fell in love with watercoloring, because it was much more much less perfection led for me. Watercoloring, the way that I watercolor, I do very loose watercoloring, and so that's why I think I fell in love with watercolors. So I went ahead and fussy cut my little gnome out, and now I'm stamping the sentiment, which I think is super cute. What does it say? Closer to jolly with every sip. And then I mounted the stamp on one of those little wobble things, and so that it kind of moves around and he kind of dances like that. Isn't that so cute? I love those things. I actually need to pick up some more and use them more often on my cards, because it's just a fun little detail. I did add some splatters with the mica that I mentioned in the beginning, but I completely messed up filming that. But you can see that texture here in the close-ups. And I added a little bit of glitter to the wine glasses after I placed my image on my card. But I kept it very simple. So it's a simple card, a lot of little technique things in the background. And I really love how it turned out. The colors make me happy. The little gnome makes me happy. And I hope it makes you happy watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my video, where I have 2 videos each month featuring Maker Forte products. And you can click on this video and check out some more. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!